My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
Alrighty, this is P.O.C, where the Ontario airport's been stalking, doing so now with the Ontario police. He's touching me, that's a battery. 1627719, vehicle 1048, and this is the agency that's...
And he's committing a battery. Go ahead and repeat yourself. This is all audible activity.
If you are sleeping in Ontario, covered.
And you're sleeping in Ontario covered?
You're camping out, so this is considered camping. It's a misdemeanor crime. I'm just letting you know.
This is the bus stop on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
This is not on private property. Your name is D. Rodriguez,
It is.
and you are outside of what the law actually states. And moreover, you're gang stalking. You're going to prison, and you put your fingers on me. That's a battery.
Okay.
Don't
Alright,
touch me.
Take care. Okay, just let you
Don't
know.
touch
So
me. You're
this-
going to prison.
Okay, thank you.
So is your boss. While you're over here citing the municipal code that doesn't apply to public property. That's how desperate you are stalking, Satan. That's P.O.C. D. Rodriguez is going to prison. Federal prison. P.O.C. This demon committed a battery. He put his hands on me. I just want to be clear. This is the gang violence that Jason Fields is going to prison for. He's engaged in targeting me with the Ontario Police, with the state of California, and he is still doing so. He's going to federal prison. He's been doing so for years, and so is Tracy Banks. This is gang violence, and this is what Mike LORENZ is going to prison for. This is criminal monitoring. And he is referring to the municipal code that does not apply to the bus stop, these benches on the sidewalk. This is the desperation between stalking. These are demons that are engaged in failed witchcraft, so they are always engaged in what is a means of trying to get attention, even while it's criminal activity that's being documented to prosecute them. That's the purpose behind it, and it's failed witchcraft, and they're going to prison and mental asylums for it. P.O.C. Okay, P.O.C. This is the failed witchcraft tactic. They're going to be assessed at Southwest Airlines that maintains no flight, and he's, again, wearing a police uniform, engaged in criminal conduct while he's gang stalking. This is a mentally ill psychopath. And he's incorrectly even referring to law that he does not have authority under while he commits a battery and he is stalking with the city of Ontario. Wearing that badge, that's prison. That's audible activity, criminal summoning. This is pathetic. P.O.C. These are the demons that are obsessed with my vagina, stalking me day and night at this bus stop by helicopter, engaging in this is the conduct that's calling for martial law. This is calling for martial law. This is P.O.C. And that was Southwest Airlines in the Ontario International Airport. And this is indeed the fake sun right here. This is P.O.C. This is a demon. They're all demons, but this is the demon. D. Rodriguez. He's going to prison. And he also engaged in what is a threat, just like J. Chu and Rodriguez, while they're engaged in criminal conduct, threatening to commit a kidnapping. You're going to prison for that. They're monitoring while they're threatening, exercising fictitious authority under the law. They're stalking and monitoring in furtherance of murder with demons like Jason Fields on behalf of this demon that's engaged in targeting and relying on the gang stalking conduct of the Ontario Police. This is a psychopath who's sitting here stalking, listening to every word I utter. The entity is stalking here by planes and has been doing so for hours, just like I documented last night, following from the library to Stater Brothers back to this bus stop, doing so in concert with the agency of the Ontario Police, doing so with the demons that are surrounding while this demon sits here in front of me and they sound sirens, engaging in gang violence together. Mike LORENZ is being prosecuted for this pattern of conduct. He's going to prison. And so is this demon that's engaged in what is threatening to kidnap me while I'm on public property where they don't have any authority under the law. And that's speaking to what you're understanding is that they're desperate and obsessed. Very psychopathic. Very psychopathic. P.O.C. This is ongoing surveillance in concert with the people of the state, where the entity is maintaining the fake sun. This is D. Rodriguez, who's engaged in surveillance. They engage in criminal summoning, stalking with the airport. He's a demon under the fake sun, engaged in a scare tactic while I'm on public property. He's going to prison, 1627719. He's engaging in the pattern of conduct. I want to be clear. This is analysis regarding their mental illness. They've already been proven as targeting, okay? And they're doing so while the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct with regard to what is the practice of witchcraft. D. Rodriguez is a demon. This is the Nephilim. And he's just operating what is a police vehicle. That's again relevant to the disbanding of that terrorist agency. This is stalking in the path of light. You're looking at the same pattern, and this demon engages what is a scare tactic to harass. This is the practice of witchcraft in order for their witchcraft, which is not effective against me. But what they are desperately engaging in the face of the very damning evidence that's all over the internet is constantly seeking attention. Their attention seeking includes what is documentation of stalking. This is inherently
ineffective, okay? This is mental illness while their obsessive endeavor is documented to prosecute them, okay? This is the entity that's engaging in that. Those are demons that are desperately seeking attention while they're stalking with commercial planes. Those are demons that are desperately seeking attention while they're stalking as a police department. These are demons that are desperately seeking attention. It's relevant to what is witchcraft. While they're molesting with impossible light, while they're stalking under a fake sun, while they're engaging in surveillance surrounding with light activity. That's what City of Ontario municipalities engage in. This is what City of Ontario at 603 North Euclid Avenue is engaging in. That's the P.O.C. D. Rodriguez is going to prison while he's here engaging what is incorrectly citing the law, which is relevant to what is harassment. It's audible activity. He just wanted to be close to me. He wanted to engage in what is communicate a threat to me. He wants to engage in what is inciting some sort of reaction toward me. They want attention. That's because of the witchcraft factor regarding gang stalking. It's demonic activity. This is relevant to what is their mental illness that's going to be assessed. D. Rodriguez is going to be subject to prison and mental assessment. So is Jason Isaac Fields. So is Tracy Banks. So is the demons that are gang stalking of the Ontario International Airport, the terrorists that are the airline companies themselves stalking in plain view with D. Rodriguez. That's the ongoing cooperative criminal conduct. And that is the entity that's, again, more desperate with regard to failed witchcraft, relevant to their mental illness, than they are concerned with what is the evidence that's putting them in prison. Okay, I just want to make sure that that's clarified. He engaged in prolonged surveillance regarding what does not even apply to engage in what is harassment. He touched me. That's also a battery. And this is an entity that's threatening my life while he's gang stalking with the people of the state. 9HCM 416, stalking under the fake sun that's over me at this intersection at 7 in the morning when it's supposedly rising, and not supposedly because I capture it, but with regard to the illusion where demons like D. Rodriguez are engaging in state surveillance and furtherance of my murder, and then incorrectly citing the law because they want to be in my presence, because they're frustrated by the fact that their witchcraft is ineffective. They're going to prison where they're going to be eating their feces where the mentally ill belong. They're stalking day and night in helicopter, stalking me on an ongoing basis at this bus stop, doing so while they're engaging in what is criminal summoning, aware of who I am in every video that's on the internet about them as an agency. D. Rodriguez is going to prison. And they're engaging in it under the fake sun. P.O.C. it's currently 9:14 a.m. This is the entity that's engaging in that while they are seeking to engage in what is obsessing over me. This is the reality of the demon-possessed that are monitoring and stalking. It's obsession, okay? This is the P.O.C. I just want to be clear. Jason Isaac Fields is subject to federal prison. He is highly psychopathic, and he's a demon, I just want to give context, that's engaging what is spiritually attacking, while these demons are physically stalking. They're one entity together. Moreover, the evidence has already shown the ways in which he is engaged in violating the law and abusing his position in doing so. He's going to federal prison for the same criminal pattern of conduct that he is not only solicited, but he is engaged in while I remain subject to it. He is going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:15 a.m. This is the fake sun. Just want you to see. I'm going to remind you about the video that has where the entity has the fake sun over me while I am in while I'm here at 7 in the morning, and the entities. This is where Rodriguez is gang stalking. That's mental illness. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the video that you just listened to is the video evidence regarding the mental illness of this entity. That includes the Ontario Police Department. This is what is requiring also martial law. These are the mentally ill that are obsessed with that which is not occurring, which is not working, and their mental illness is precluding their ability to recognize that, but also their mental illness precludes their ability to cease engaging in what is criminal conduct for which they're going to prison, okay? In this video, 603 North Euclid Avenue, 601 North Euclid Avenue are gang stalking. It's light activity. While a demon's in the path with their hazard lights on, D. Rodriguez is gang stalking me while that pattern is underway. D. Rodriguez is stalking in a police vehicle. That's federal prison. D. Rodriguez is going to federal prison while gang stalking me wearing a police uniform and bearing a gun and a badge while he is committing a battery. This demon touches me repeatedly while I am on the bench on the sidewalk, and he is telling me that I'm going to be kidnapped because it's not a lawful arrest, that he's going to arrest me for being on the bench, okay? He's incorrectly referring to what is the municipal code, first of all, that they do not, while they're gang stalking, have authority under. This is exactly why the people of the state and the gang stalking police are going to prison. Okay, they engage in criminal summoning, citing private property. It's not private property. You're engaged in surveillance. You're engaged in what is the pattern of conduct together. You're targeting with the intent to obstruct justice, and you use criminal summoning as a means to engage in what is harassment and kidnapping in furtherance of that criminal objective, which is also murder as an entity. The entity is engaging in this while under the fake sun. This is while I want to be clear, like I stated in the video, this is the entity that is stalking in the video. The proof of what is already establishing. The airport is stalking. The entities engaging what is stalking as the police department as well. The police department is stalking. That is the evidence that the Ontario International Airport is stalking in concert with them. It's under the fake sun that's rising over me at the same bus stop at 7 in the morning. The entity that's setting on this same street at 7 in the evening through the window, the drive-through window of Starbucks, which is right here on this same sidewalk. This is the entity that's engaging that's harassment, trying to engage in what is a scare tactic, because I am over here minding my business, not giving any concern to these demons that are obsessively stalking. The Ontario International Airport has been stalking all morning, has been stalking, just like I captured on the side of the OVITT Family Community Library, plane after plane after plane. These demons are literally seeking that attention that's all over the internet, proving terrorism in the U.S., proving what is the basis for prosecuting domestic terrorists like the airport, like these airline companies and these gang stalking pilots who commit murder, like the terrorist leader Mike Lorenz, like the people of the state, domestic terrorist enemies of this country that are gang stalking with the state. And they are engaging in that while I'm completely not paying them any attention, and I'm on a bench on the sidewalk, and this demon is incorrectly even referring to law that they don't have authority under. And while they maliciously seek to enforce that authority, like what J. Chu and Rodriguez did at Starbucks, they're going to prison. This is a harassment tactic with regard to the P.O.C, and they also did it under the fake sun. While this airport stalks in the video, while the people of the state are doing so under the fake sun that's arriving over the same location, that's revealing, again, the malice of the demons, the audible activity that's coming out of D. Rodriguez's face. This is going to be used to diagnose their mental illness, in addition to the fact of stalking as a police department in the first place. This is relevant to mental illness. The demon-possessed are very much obsessed and seeking attention. Mental illness is one where it requires you to pay attention to the demons. It requires you to be affected by them. It requires you to care about what they're doing. It requires you to be one way emotionally invested, and none of that applies. And this is also psychopathic and delusional behavior, while it's also wildly corrupt, and it does call for what is martial law. D. Rodriguez's behavior, criminal summoning, stalking by the airport, stalking under an idle fake sun that's also setting on the same street. It's over me at the Chevron at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's over me at this Chevron at 6:45 in the evening. It's over me at this Bethel congregation during the 6 p.m. hour where Southwest Airlines is stalking, just like they are in the video where it's 9:21 a.m. The entity is stalking by that airport, seeking what is nothing other than evidence that they've been targeting in furtherance of murder. The mentally ill are engaging what is failed witchcraft, and these are the illusions which are going to have them placed in the asylums where they belong. And this is why they have been referred to in the way in which the facts demonstrate. These are the mentally ill that eat their own feces. These are the mentally ill that engage in obsessive stalking as a group. It's gang violence, for which terrorist leaders Michael GERKEN, Alan D. WAPNER, Mike Lorenz, and the demons of the Ontario Board and the Ontario Executive Team, terrorist leaders such as Jason Fields. This is somebody that has engaged in defaming my character while worshiping Satan, engaging in all manner of psychopathic conduct, which is clearly seen upon dissecting his personal life, such as having sex, gay sex, ritualistic sex, while he is surmising to gain spiritual authority over people in order to overwhelm and supersede their own ability to consent, to have anything to do. None of that is working on me. He's a psychopath. They're mentally ill. And the fact that he's gang stalking me and the ways in which he has lied on my character is also evidence of his mental illness. He is still gang stalking. This demon is still spiritually attacking. That's relevant context that you cannot prosecute for, but it's relevant context regarding what it is I've shown you everything else about the demon possessed. Jason Isaac Fields is a demon, and he's spiritually attacking in concert with these demons. While the demons sound their sirens and are pacing all around me, Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in what is spiritually attacking, psychological warfare, doing so while the demons keep a whole fake environment around me while they are worshiping me. and Jason Isaac Field's spiritual attack is ineffective. He is going to be cursed by every demon that he has summoned up. He is going to be spiritually attacked, and he's every death spirit, every work of voodoo, every sexually violent act that he's committed with his sex partner, Tracy Banks, all those demons are going back toward him, and they're going to be intensified. This is the Nephilim, who are damned. They're not victorious in any way. And neither is their criminal activity, which is proven beyond a reasonable doubt, including by science, where D. Rodriguez is stalking me and abusing the position of law enforcement under the fake sun. He's going to prison. Communicating a threat with regard to your unlawful conduct is federal prison. Bearing weapons while you're gang stalking as a psychopath with engineered light, such as license 399NK, handicap. Also handicap because it's a feces eater, a demon that's stalking under the fake sun, and impossible light is moving across 537 North Euclid Avenue, where D. Rodriguez is stalking, and engages in that because I'm supposed to be scared, and I'm supposed, oh my goodness, okay, let me get up, or I'm supposed to be flustered, and this is how the demon-possessed surmise with the ordinary target individual. These are psychopaths, and their witchcraft does not work. Nor do I care. And I've already prosecuted them. The federal government, like Jason Isaac Fields, are going to prison for what this entity is continuously engaged in. When I proved this case a long time ago, and this entity has been engaged in what is ongoing obstruction of justice, Jason Fields is going to prison, and he is not getting out. Neither is his sex partner, Tracy Banks, and all those demonic spirits of death that they summon. They're going to attack them in their federal cells. Okay, and that's literally what you're going to witness. It is currently 9:24 a.m. This is all calling for martial law. This lawlessness, this ongoing obsession with one person stalking, and this is because I'm ignoring demons that are inferior to me, that are already defeated. The evidence is all over the internet. I prosecuted the domestic terrorists that are the companies, the domestic terrorists that are the local government body, the domestic terrorists that are the population of demons, 8YTB. 726, I believe. I've prosecuted them already. I don't care. Okay? And I never cared before. I don't care about the demon possessed. I don't care. It's not my job to care. It's my job to prosecute, so that they're not able to engage in this against other people that do not know about the tactics of Satan, which is more clearly mentally ill than they are rational with regard to what is a case in court, where your witchcraft is also not going to work. In fact, the federal government that permitted this to go on, they're going to prison for this. They're going to prison for this. And it includes Jason Fields. License 8RMH738. This is P.O.C. I'm going to include the video documentation, which is what you're going to look at on YouTube. That video is over 3 minutes, so on YouTube I can attach several videos. And the fake sun showing it where D. Rodriguez is stalking, 9 a.m. The fake sun's over me at 537 North Euclid Avenue. The entity has the fake sun rising in alignment to me at 537 North Euclid Avenue. The entity has the fake sun while I'm at this venue at Chevron, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's across the street. This is the same location. The entity has the fake sun over me at 12:39 p.m. While I am walking out of this Bethel congregation where they're gang stalking with the airport, like I shown you, the lesbian pastor at Bethel congregation. The entity has, that's not a video though, that's an image that I took, but that's referring to the documentation of kidnapping at 111 North Vineyard Avenue last Sunday, where the entity is engaging in what is criminal summoning via J. Chu and Rodriguez, who are going to prison. This is the entity that's engaging in this conduct. This is how desperate they are, and that's because they're demons that are practicing witchcraft that is not working. And so they are fearful of death. They are going to die. They are going to die. They targeted the wrong person. So this is why you have this foolishness. Why would you engage in? I'm going to let you know why they are. Because they are scared to die, but it's already decreed. It's already established. These people are going to drop dead. They're demons that engaged in what is spiritual violations of the law. And it's not just the government, it's the people of the state. They engage in spiritual violations of the law. They did what the Lord God, what Scripture says that you are not supposed to do. They have engaged in contracts with Satan with regard to sending death spirits. And if they're not affected toward me, they're impervious to me. I'm breaking down what they're doing and it doesn't work. And this is why you have the criminal conduct that I'm obviously capturing. This is why you have the foolishness of coming right in my face for me to get your image, get your information with regard to a pattern of conduct that the agency is already surrounded by. You're stalking me 20 to 25 times on by helicopter as I go through what is several days, and I'm accumulating that very heavily proven tactic. Why would you engage in that? Because they're scared to die. But they are going to die. Because that witchcraft that they send out is coming back to them. And it's not just in Ontario. Understand, this is a coven, a cult. This is the Nephilim. These are demons. And there are demons that are going to drop dead that are celebrities. They're scared to death about dying, but they weren't scared when they engage in murdering other people using witchcraft, targeting them and gang stalking them. And it's happening to them. That's why you have the foolishness with the stalking by the airport. While you would obviously stalk me for hours at the library and then follow me to the Stater Brothers and then back to the bus stop. They're looking for attention from me. That attention is necessary with regard to their practice of witchcraft. It doesn't work. I don't care. I already won. And not only that, I'm going to prosecute you. Your witchcraft doesn't work on me. It will not work on a child of God. On the person that's here on assignment to expose, they're mentally ill. They are desperate, and they're engaged in that because they are afraid of what's coming, and it is death. They are going to die. D. Rodriguez, these demons that are engaged in this obvious criminal conduct, Jason Fields, Tracy Banks, they have death that they have conjured up, and that death is coming for them. And that is not me. That I don't practice witchcraft. I don't practice voodoo or anything like that. My spiritual authority and my spiritual protection comes from Christ Jesus himself, who has covered me. And for me to speak to what the demon-possessed do to other people who die inexplicably, who disappear while the government's engaging in targeting them. You don't know anything about this criminal surveillance system, and you don't know anything about the practice of witchcraft that they practice. And they surmise that numerosity overwhelms, well, the ordinary target individual that's not protected by Christ Jesus. Okay? That's not my case. These demons are foolishly engaged in this criminal conduct because they are fearful of the oncoming death that is going to overwhelm all of them. That's what's happening. That's what's relevant. And it's assessed as mental illness. Because regardless of their consequences, choices that they made, nobody cares about that in federal court. You drop dead because of witchcraft, the federal court's not concerned about that. The federal court's concerned about the tangible evidence proving that you're stalking. And you engage in ongoing obvious stalking that was documented in order to prosecute you. And then when you're in that cell and in that assignment, there you will drop dead. That's the reason behind this desperate and obvious criminal activity. That's what you need to know. That's why D. Rodriguez is coming in my face. That's a desperate act, seeking attention. They need that attention because I am the one that they are seeking to get spiritual, if you will, spiritual attention, if you will, to bother me, to frustrate me. It does not work. I'm passionately litigating, and I'm passionately even legislating. But that's not any sort of emotional investment. And I want to be clear, they don't understand. If I were frustrated or bothered, you have no access. Everything you're doing is stalking, and I'm documenting it. You're being prosecuted. You're being shut down. It's calling for martial law. Your witchcraft has come to execute you. You are the one that is dropping dead. And the world is going to witness the consequences of the Nephilim that have been murdering people for decades. But you need to understand that's the purpose of, the significance of this very foolish and obvious targeting by the state. We're in court. They're not worried about being in court because they're scared about dying, dropping dead. Because they're going straight to hell. They're going straight to hell. All right? This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:31 a.m. Omnitrans is engaged in criminal summoning with the City of Ontario, targeting me through the business of that public transportation line, which is engaged in gang stalking. While they're monitoring, they're engaged in that under the fake sun. This appears to be an African-American male operating the bus. The demons sound their sirens while they drive by me. After they pass me, the sirens stop. That's what you're paying attention to right now. They're doing so under the fake sun. That's over 537 Euclid Avenue, where it's over at sunrise, okay? And while it's at this time over me at the Ontario Town Square, and where it is at this time over me at the Ontario Airport Inn, where it is remaining from sunrise until sunset over Woodside Senior Apartments, where it is remaining from sunrise until sunset over the Economy Inn Hotel at 231 South Euclid Avenue, where the entity is maintaining the fake sun from sunrise until sunset at Alvarado Gardens, where LA is practicing the same pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. This is calling for martial law, where the entity is engaged in criminal summoning with the City of Ontario, and the images that I captured, this is the entity that is engaged in that pattern of conduct, and the Omnitrans license plate that is engaged in targeting me through the use of that bus line, license plate 1234705, bus 2503. You will see the fake sun over that bus. By the way, that fake sun does not move along with that bus, like is the case when I'm on those buses where they are monitoring me. Engaging in criminal summoning as I document that demon operating that bus. That's the gang stalking and furtherance of murder by Michael GERKEN, who is subject to the same martial law, the necessity of martial law with regard to the criminal surveillance that agency is engaging in. They're engaged in criminal surveillance and not firefighting, and it's mentally ill behavior also while they do so. This is the same agency that's talking about I can't sleep here, and they're monitoring me while I'm here. D. Rodriguez is going to federal prison. Okay? P.O.C. It's 9:36 a.m. Alrighty, D. Rodriguez is indeed going to federal prison. This is the entity that's monitoring, and that was a harassment tactic and a battery that he committed. This is moments after the entity is engaged in criminal summoning by Michael GERKEN, the Ontario Fire Department, that sounds its sirens right here while they drive past me, and then the sirens stop. This is the entity that's targeting with the people of the state under what is the fake sun that I documented shining while D. Rodriguez engaged in surveillance here, engaged in what is a battery while they're monitoring it. D. Rodriguez is going to prison, and that is evidence of his mental illness, just like J. Chu and Rodriguez, just like C. Hazelwood and Owens, just like C. Torres and L. Martinez, B. Hook, and Nathan Morgan. The malice with which they're engaging, that's the relevant with regard to their mental illness. All they're doing is stalking me. And the entity is stalking by helicopter, doing so in the environment where the entity is covering up the fake sun that rises right here where that agency is stalking me by helicopter day and night, and the entity is engaged in this while D. Rodriguez is going to prison for that iteration of the pattern of conduct because they're desperate for attention that they're not going to get. These demons are going to be dropping dead based on what is failed witchcraft with the people of the state, the demons that are engaging in surveillance with them. These are demons that engage in what is this ritualistic system, this practice of witchcraft, while they maintain a whole engineered environment of fake sun, which is demonic, this engineered light, which is demonic, where they're engaged in monitoring, which is done by demons. It's a population of them. These are the Nephilim, and that's the Nephilim that's stalking as an agency. D. Rodriguez is going to prison. Okay, this is ongoing confirmation of what was criminal conduct, exercising authority that you don't have under the law that you're incorrectly citing while I'm on public property on a bus bench. Okay, that's because the entity is desperate for attention that they're not going to get. They're going to prison, and so is Mike LORENZ. It's currently 9:40 a.m. That's the entity that's desperate, okay? That desperation, if you're listening to my podcast, I include this video on my podcast, I'll include it. This is the desperation. The desperation supersedes, which is mental illness, the desperation supersedes what is rational, reasonable conduct, because the substance of all of this is going in court. And they're going to prison. And that's where many of them will be dropping dead. Okay, this is the entity that's been engaged in what is sending death spirits that aren't touching me. Okay, spirits of mental illness, which is cursing them. It's not affecting me. Their mental illness is clear and evident while they're stalking with light, stalking in planes and helicopters, engaging in all manner of stalking as a population. That mental illness is clear for the whole world to see. And not only that, they are summoning and fearful of death, which is coming for them, okay? Because they solicited demonic spirits to engage in what is death by demonic spirits. And this is the practice of witchcraft by the gang stalkers themselves. And their own witchcraft is going to come back and kill them and take their lives. And that's just the reality. This is the Nephilim that have served to essentially execute themselves. And in other words, also in court, they're stalking by helicopter. D. Rodriguez is going to prison. That's malice, and this is the same pattern of conduct they exhibited at 111 North Vineyard Avenue. You're stalking, engaged in criminal summoning, and the entity is stalking by helicopter at that Starbucks. The entity is engaged in what is stalking me as I come back to, this is last Sunday if you're paying attention, stalking me at the Ontario Town Square when you are engaged in that surveillance. Criminal summoning is an iteration with which the people of the state are going to prison as well, okay? This is P.O.C. This is the street where the entity is rising and setting the sun. The entity is going to prison. The operation of the heliport, the demon that's flying that helicopter, prison. This is P.O.C. It's 9:42 a.m. Alrighty, the entity is indeed engaged in the P.O.C. like with the Ontario Police who are targeting D. Rodriguez, the Ontario Fire Department, and the Ontario Police by helicopter. 8 Zebra Kelly Yolanda 682. And Balbir, yes, Balbir is gang stalking at the Chevron. She's going to be subject to deportation if she's not a natural born citizen. 65716 Apple 1. And Balbir's license plate is, let me see. She is systematically engaged in targeting and furtherance of murder with this agency, gang stalking me under the fake sun rising and setting. License 9 Edward Frank Henry 194. At 506 North Euclid Avenue in relevant position. She's monitoring now while the entity is stalking me by helicopter. 2EK1628, I believe that's the Maryland license plate. He's gang stalking at 602A North Euclid Avenue. That residential area, engaging in stalking with impossible light while the entity is stalking me by helicopter and planes all night long. That entire residential neighborhood is going to be prosecuted. License 9BSD 482. Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. They're already being prosecuted. Starbucks' pattern of conduct is shown as I've traveled to multiple Starbucks in different counties, and the pattern of conduct is underway. CR018 handicap. San Bernardino County Sheriff, gang stalking. 9DCX964, San Bernardino County Sheriff is gang stalking conspicuously based on evidence that I published as of late of them stalking. That's the predictable pattern of conduct. 8VXY236, 9DXV657, 9CAN394. These are desperate demons who have summoned death upon themselves, and engaging in more gang stalking is speaking to what is a flawless victory in federal court, okay? Because the witchcraft is coming for them. and that's just the reality. This is, again, reaping. They're reaping. 9ENG536. Okay, Balbir's gang stalking at the Chevron, and the ARCO employee is license 9TIH520, targeting me with the Ontario Police Department also systematically. License 7BVU047, 6MPP954. License gang stalking patrons, acting in furtherance of murder. The police, the fire department, these are demons that are standing out, okay? They're doing is stalking. They are delusional and they're desperate. 7M22369. They look like the gang stalkers that I stated that they are. All they're doing is monitoring. P.O.C. All right, stalking with Ontario Police is the Ontario Veterinary Hospital, including pest control. Dewey Pest Control is over here gang stalking. I've documented Terminex gang stalking. While I'm a property manager, they're no exception. And it doesn't matter what business you are, but just giving an example, demon-possessed gang stalking pest control operators are engaging in the P.O.C. License 41396G2, 86444X2. Everybody inside of that veterinary hospital is gang stalking with the entity, in concert with D. Rodriguez, in concert with the demons that are pacing around me on Euclid Avenue, stalking as an entity, and so is this venue over here. And it's 121 North Lemon. Hold on, what is this address of this veterinary? I have it listed already in the podcast description, but I want to cite it in this podcast. 121 East E Street. Okay, the entity is maintaining ongoing sirens as criminal summoning. I want to remind you again, the entity's criminal pattern of conduct is revealing to you what the Los Angeles Police Department committed with regard to murder. Okay, the sirens are used as a means of what is license 8KRF994, 9FKV760, 5UCR830. The sirens are used as a means of what is monitoring. It's light activity, audible activity while they are in the path. These demons are very much tuned into, remember, it's not just the demons that are LAPD. The people of the state are demons in Los Angeles. So this third party that's in the middle of the street on their skateboard is engaged in what is targeting. And it's those demons of the LAPD that sound their sirens, which was nothing other than a cover, excuse for speeding down the street, excuse for any sort of quote-unquote accident that would occur. This is the people of the state that are subject to what is loss of their life, while actually a demon knows exactly where you're at. They sound those sirens with regard to monitoring you. They do so under the guise of responding to some sort of emergency. And it's audible activity, it's malicious conduct, and they're doing so while they know exactly where you are, what you're doing, and what you routinely do because of the existence of surveillance. LAPD is engaged in what is premeditated murder of this third party that's on their skateboard, and being in the middle of the street is not any sort of assumption of risk, because actually it's quite the opposite. That third party is perfectly safe because of the nature of the demon possessed. They are monitoring and know exactly where you're at. He is perfectly safe actually in the middle of the street with regard to a demon that is engaging in surveillance and targeting him. But this demon intended to hit him and drove, you can even see the steering wheel, he veered into the middle of the street inexplicably, not veering out of the way of any other car, impeding on the path, doing so, or it doesn't appear as though he's about to make a turn. He drives right in the middle of the street, but not only that, you're understanding the pattern of conduct by the demons. He's engaged in what is light activity, audible activity, monitoring in the path while they're engaged in surveillance, knowing exactly what it is that you're saying. This is what the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, is exhibiting while they use criminal summoning. That's what the Ontario Fire Department is doing. They're sounding their sirens the moment that I take pictures of the license plate of Omnitrans that's gang stalking with the demons of the City of Ontario using a dumpster truck, okay? Their soul is a dumpster truck, and the dumpster truck that they're using as a means of light activity. Those demons are monitoring. The moment that I capture that image, criminal summoning, the sound of sirens. And those sirens are sounded, and the lights on that fire truck are used as they drive by me. Then they stop those sirens. That's targeting, recognizing it through their behavior in the specific environment, where the fake sun's over the same location where it's rising at 7 in the morning. And that is also during daylight savings time. Okay, but I've captured it after daylight savings time as well. But nonetheless, this is the entity that's engaging what is clear targeting, pursuant to surveillance. This is the same with LAPD. That was premeditated murder. Premeditated. Okay, and you are learning about that with regard to, this is an investigation of the entity. That includes LAPD while I'm in Ontario. And the criminal conduct, the targeting by this agency, by this city, by this municipality is speaking to the criminal conduct, the targeting activity, the surveillance, where the entity wants to maintain a duplicitous purpose with regard to accidentally hitting it, and it wasn't an accident. They're engaged in surveillance. And moreover, they're demons monitoring even down to your genitalia. They know when you move your pinky finger in your pocket. They know when you are... they know when your body is digesting food. They're demons. And they are engaging in what is surveillance, using and abusing the resources of police departments. LAPD committed murder, and you're learning that while the entity is gang stalking me, like the Ontario Police Department. 7VYH842, SPID3R, that's Utah, 9FXP807, 8UVY870, 9SUJ598. And don't forget, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is gang stalking conspicuously because they're always monitoring. I don't have to go to Rancho Cucamonga every day to document them stalking me under the fake sun. This is one entity. And they also engaged in kidnapping, and this is relevant to Shannon Dykes' removal from position. And what is also disbanding, they systematically engaged in kidnapping me with the criminals like D. Rodriguez, J. Chu, and Rodriguez of the criminal summoning at the Starbucks last Sunday. Those are the demons engaging in kidnapping. The demons that don't have any authority under the law while they're stalking. Okay? San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is engaged in repeatedly kidnapping with that agency, monitoring me inside of the facilities. Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center, Central Detention Center, and West Valley. And they are routinely engaging in kidnapping while they're violating federal laws that govern those facilities. Moreover, not only that, they're doing so in furtherance of murder, kidnapping me and keeping me inside of those jails when they're doing so to obstruct justice. And I want to be clear, while San Bernardino County Sheriff is gang stalking conspicuously, this is relevant with regard to federal prison. I have documented a substantial amount of demons by badge number and name with regard to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department while they were monitoring me inside of that facility, while they were engaged in what is a battery of my person, sexual assault and battery, harassment, because I was holding up signs and exposing them, gang stalking, being demons, monitoring, and also engaging in kidnapping, violating my rights, kidnapping me while I'm maintaining this investigation. And they have the audacity to try to put me in a ward in a uniform, which is not going to make me look crazy. I'm holding up, clearly articulating where all my syntax is My syntax is immaculate. My recall of facts and information are flawless, but the entity, all they did was put me in the uniform and in that area, and they're going to prison for it. That's what you're mindful of when San Bernardino County is going out of its way to gang stalk me. And that's because they're mindful of the evidence, exposing them gang stalking as I'm publishing evidence from 2022. Pay attention to that. P.O.C. 7RYN683. 7TLD884. And the kidnapping, the cooperative acts of kidnapping by the Ontario Police, by San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court Federal Prison. License 5NAP444 while the entity is stalking by helicopter. D. Rodriguez, that's incorrectly citing the law with regard to trying to harass me today because these demons are desperate for attention from me and they're not getting any because you're going to drop dead from those demonic spirits that you conjured up. FedEx is gang stalking, license 23752Z3 with the Ontario Police Department that sounds helicopter while they're hostile. They're hostile because I'm referring to their co-defendant, San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes, who are going to be prosecuted. License 9NPK359, they're going to prison. And like I stated before, numerosity is not a bar to justice. And I don't care how large San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is. The facilities where I've been detained, that is the minimal with regard to disbanding, with regard to shutting down. 8TJA082. They engaged in kidnapping, and I was there. They're engaged in gang stalking with the inmates. They're engaged in gang stalking with San Bernardino County, with whom they criminally defamed me. You're shutting them down. Shannon Dykes is not remaining in office. 7JGS071. San Bernardino County is gang stalking in Hesperia, in Victorville, where they're stalking me by helicopter, just like these puppets that are scared to drop dead, and drop dead they shall. They're stalking me by helicopter like they are out here under the fake sun. In engineer light at nightfall, flying over the top of my head, flying in circles around me. That's what they're doing as I'm documenting San Bernardino County sharing in the same pattern of conduct. Again, specific knowledge about who I am. That's not a coincidence. That's the pattern. 7HPF865, more than enough evidence speaking to what is necessarily disbanding. A police department that's kidnapping, a sheriff's department that's kidnapping, shutting down a courthouse that's kidnapping, Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, 79433D1, 8BTJ572, 7HPF865, and the criminal conduct that the Ontario Police Department is still engaging in, like you engage in criminal summoning, D. Rodriguez this morning incorrectly citing the law, that doesn't even apply. And the entity then stalking moments later by helicopter, you're going to prison. And this is also speaking for disbanding the sheriff and shutting down the courthouse that share in the criminal conduct of the Ontario Police Department. 9EIK039, P.O.C. These demons are desperate, and this is the Nephilim whose time is up. 9EIK039 is stalking with the airport that's flying over the defendant Sarah's Regis Group. That has the fake sunrise and sunset. The demons are gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library where the sun has not been over the Ontario Town Square to move east over me as I walk toward that entrance. The entity is gang stalking by hovering over the roof of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments at 320 North Euclid Avenue. And the entity is doing so while they are stalking with the fake sun that's present. And so you're mindful of what the entity has been doing with the fake sun because the entity is, again, very delusional and obsessed more than they are intelligent. They're not intelligent at all, in fact. They're made dummies because they're demons, they're demonic spirits that are putting them in cells because their conduct, which is born of demon possession, which is not a defense in court, is putting them in prison and in asylums. And that is where they're going to suffer spiritual consequences, like what is death. Just want to be clear. 1P6485, that's an out-of-state plate. It's blue and white. That's a blue and white plate. Gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library. 7KDP981, stalking with the airport. It's audible activity while the Ontario Police is stalking. 6GTK897, City of Ontario, that's the same gang stalking municipality. 7ZXL296, 4NYZ669. And all of the employees inside of the OVITT Family Community Library are stalking with this agency that is stalking outside, stalking under a fake sun that moves over me as I approach the venue, and they're all inside documenting themselves. They're on surveillance cameras, they're on the work schedule today, they're engaging in what is transactions with the venue, and they're going to prison for their acts of kidnapping, and they're also going to prison for systematic targeting. P.O.C. License plate 9RQW531. This is the pattern of conduct which is underway inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Upon my exit, the entity is targeting me with Securitas, that is Dylan, and the employees that are engaging in the pattern of conduct while they are engaging what is that ambush conduct, which is a threat to your life and safety, which the OVITT Family Community Library employees and the gang stalking patrons share in while they're keeping the evidence under surveillance. This is P.O.C. It is 10:01 a.m. That's John stalking with audible activity under the fake sun. That's malice and mental illness. All right, that's the pattern of conduct where they're stalking upon entrance and exit, monitoring on behalf of the state. John is the male. He has like a buzz cut and a ponytail on top of his head. He's a vagina monitoring gang stalking gargoyle. All right, all he's doing is pacing inside, and he's being paid by the city of Ontario to maintain surveillance. And he's systematically engaged in that with every other demon inside of the venue, and that is a basis of federal prison. He's exhibiting mental illness while that impunity is underway. Okay, P.O.C. It's 10:02 a.m. And you also have Myra, that's gang stalking at the computer area. And the path the demons are pacing in and out of the administration door. This is mental illness. All they're doing is stalking with the sound of the door. And they're doing so in engineer light. Very deranged behavior on behalf of the gang stalking police that require them to pace around me, require them, this is their role, and this is the pattern of conduct on the inside of the building. They also engage in this surveillance in the bathroom on behalf of the sex offenders, the city of Ontario, and they are sex offenders as well. Is it open?
It's open for you.
You don't need me? Okay, thank you, Myra. P.O.C. All the patrons are engaging in that with their communication devices sitting around in engineer light. These are the demon-possessed stalker with impossible light. The impossible light is the engineer light that I've shown you on the ground. The shadow that paces from behind to in front of me, the multiple shadows that are appearing, it's laughable because of how impossible, how demonic it is. And that's a direct indicator regarding their mental illness. Direct indicator. And malice, P.O.C. It's 10:04 a.m. Alrighty, this is the fake sun in the same position that it is in at 8:38 in the morning when I am at the Ontario Town Square. And you have the three demons that are wearing Ontario police uniforms engaging in criminal summoning, which is centered around the criminal participation of the people of the state, while they are maliciously disguising the pattern of conduct as one that's including the execution of the duties of an officer, and it is not. And it is also proven under what is the fake sun. This is the position of the fake sun that originates over me in that video that ends at 8:38 a.m. And then as I walk east to this same OVITT Family Community Library where the airport and the police are stalking with the people of the state that are maintaining stalking inside of the venue, the fake sun remains over me here, and it's shining, hovering over this roof, the same apartment building. It's currently 10:25 a.m. Alrighty, it's currently 10:51 a.m. I did capture the video that you listened to. The entity's engaged in what is covering up the fake sun. So the clouds that are covering up what is the exact same, you can see the illumination of light. The only thing that's doing that is the fake sun, the illusion of the sun, and that illusion is clearly shown to you while you're looking at the video captured on November 10th, 2025. Beginning at 8:27 a.m. and it ends at 8:38 a.m. and I'm originating at the Ontario Town Square, 224 North Euclid Avenue, and then that fake sun that's over the Ontario Town Square over me moves in real time as I walk east to the library where I'm at now at 215 E.C. Street. It's the same Civic Center area where the entity has the fake sun over me at the Ontario City Hall, east of the library, the same Civic Center area at 12:51 in the afternoon. However, this is, and again, as you're looking at that duration of time, that's 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, which would be 11 o'clock, 11:51, which is essentially 12 p.m. That duration of time with regard to the exclusivity of the sun. The sun that's in Florida, that's 3 hours ahead of us. This is, again, prosecuting the mayor, prosecuting the fire department, police department, the airport, while their illusion, which is highly unintelligent, in addition to their unintelligent and obvious stalking conduct. And their obvious stalking is because of the desperation. The desperation, which is also a threat to an American citizen as you analyze it, but it's the desperation with regard to, the demon-possessed have been engaged in what is the practice of witchcraft. This is very much a conspiracy to murder, but the entity engages in murder with no hands, okay? They use spell work, they use voodoo. This is witchcraft that Jason Fields, who was not physically in my presence, is relying on and is desperate with regard to spiritually attacking, psychologically targeting, in concert with the demons that I'm documenting physically, okay, in my path, molesting with impossible light. He is a part of the same entity. He's a psychopath that's engaged in what is promiscuity as a means of practicing witchcraft. He's a sexual psychopath. He's a pervert. He would have sex with an animal. He'll have sex with a child. He'll have sex with a male. He'll have sex with anything. He had sex with Tracy Banks, Exhibit A. And he did so for years, and this is because of his obsession with my money and my property. Okay, this is someone that's obsessed with my demise with regard to his obsession with money and property that he is not getting. This is evidence which is also establishing the fact that he will never be permitted outside of a federal prosecution in my presence. I will submit information and testimony in court to put him in prison, to make sure that he is subject to mental examinations which are required for any gang stalker, and also one that has provided evidence regarding his mental illness. This is a demon that's obsessed with money. This is a demon that will do anything for money, and it's money that he's not going to get. This is somebody that's engaged in what is an ongoing conspiracy to murder me with this entity, and it is based on his obsession with my property, his obsession with seeking to, even through witchcraft, trying to force what you are not going to force. This is a rapist. This is someone that's accustomed to utilizing witchcraft to force people into doing things that they perhaps would not do, but for witchcraft. This is a psychopath. Okay, Jason Fields, he's a psychopath. And this is the same spirit that's operating over the demon-possessed. You're stalking as a means of trying to force your way into my emotional field. You're stalking as a way of trying to force your, this is with regard to their practice of witchcraft, and that's the failed tactic. It's not even logical. But this is the tactic that the demon-possessed engaged in when you are triggered. And again, I'm not triggered. I'm capturing evidence. I'm prosecuting. I'm not triggered. I don't care. These are demons that belong in prison. And I'm maintaining a federal prosecution. I'm getting the evidence. You're going to prison, and that's where you're going to drop dead. This is an entity that's engaged in that because they are obsessed with money. They're also caught. Mind you, while they're engaging in this conduct, obsessed with what is the demonic spirits that are going to chase them down and snatch the life out of them, they've already been surrounded with the evidence of engaging in targeting me. And that targeting also included criminal defamation. And that targeting also includes what is repeatedly kidnapping while you were making up information about why you were kidnapping in the first place, calling it an arrest pursuant to the execution of the duties of an officer, and it had nothing to do with any of that. This is the criminal stalking. D. Rodriguez gang stalking, falsely stating what is no basis whatsoever to even be in my presence, bothering, harassing, targeting at the bus stop. Moments later, the entity is stalking in the same way I'm documenting on an ongoing basis by helicopter, flying over the top of my head. D. Rodriguez is going to prison. This is the same entity which is speaking to the law which bars Fields from ever coming into my presence. He is obsessed with my money. He is a serial killer, someone that will do anything, including commit murder, in order to profit from it. Okay, his mental illness and his criminal activity speak to the fact that he is an unlawful threat communicated by the government. And the federal government is subject to a prosecution based on the prolonged engagement of targeting me while the Ontario Police Department is permitted to do so. You can call it an investigation all you want. I'm prosecuting the federal government that had no jurisdiction under the law in the first place. You're being prosecuted for what Jason Fields has been engaged in, for what Jason Fields facilitated the state to engage in as a corrupt official that's engaged in what is abusing his position because he's obsessed with money. He would have sex with money if he could. Okay, this is a pervert, this is a psychopath, this is a stalker, and he is very delusional. This is somebody that's engaged in this conduct while he is engaged in what is spiritually attacking through the delusional behavior, such as no matter what happens, no matter what evidence, no matter what, this person is going to force me to be with him and we're going to be, this is what he's doing while he's spiritually attacking. It's not going to happen. He's going to prison. Okay, but I'm going to voice what this demon-possessed person is doing. It's relevant to what are mental examinations that are already default for any gang stalker, which includes Jason Fields. All right, it is currently 10:57 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, those are the demons of the mentally ill. And they are pacing as employees into the administration door. Those are demons that are engaged in monitoring conduct, and it's mentally deranged behavior, and it's on behalf of the gang stalkers, the Ontario Police. While what you also see are the demons, the African American male, the serial stalker, keeping my vagina under surveillance, engaging in surveillance with the demons that work here. I'm taking pictures right now as I'm narrating. The demons are pacing in and out of the administration door, creating impact in this room, amplified in volume. And even at the volume that I'm speaking right now, the demons are amplifying audible activity because you cannot hear into the adjacent rooms. This is where these are demons that engage in targeting, and it's unintelligent behavior. It's as unintelligent as the fake sun that's clearly over this entrance, where nature nature dictates, not would dictate, nature dictates that that's not the sun. That's the context, that's the proof of the truth regarding what I'm narrating, but it's also more evidence than that. The entity is engaged in what is amplified audible activity pursuant to what is the pattern of conduct, treating every environment like it's paper that we're walking on, paper that separates us, where you can see and hear everything, no matter how far away it is, and that the sun doesn't go anywhere, no matter how long that you're at one place. And that one airport that has one address is taken off from that same airport, maintaining the same elevation throughout the entirety of that city, and that is on its face appearing as what is a normal conduct at the airport. And I don't think that we're at a juncture in this evidence that these demons have any purpose to maintain any sort of legitimate appearance with their outright stalking, okay? Where at first the entity sought to falsely depict the character of an American citizen. They're supposed to be making somebody else look crazy, right? They forfeited that a long time ago. They sacrificed that. That's a long time ago. They are seen as the outright maniacal psychopaths that they are, very mentally ill, not only proven through their environment, their behavior, and it's also mental illness that's exhibited while they are keeping evidence about their proven stalking as a whole population, a whole public entity together, and they're engaging in it in front of everyone. This is the entity that sought to engage in gang stalking. The whole purpose of the system is to treat it as though conduct yourself as though, oh yeah, nothing's going on here. It's all in the imagination of that person. I don't even know them, and I don't know what they're talking about. The entity is engaged in a far, far deviation from any sort of criminal targeting, which is making the target individual appear as though they're imagining it. And none of us are imagining it while you're looking at it unfold on the internet. These are demons that are desperate. And this is relevant to criminal conduct. The mentally ill that is, again, exhibiting the mental illness that you are witnessing, Mike LORENZ has as well. He's a psychopath and he's a violent sex offender. He's engaged in vagina monitoring, which is not policing. It's not law enforcement. It's not a legitimate interest of the government. And he's being removed from position because he's a sex offender and also because he's mentally ill. And his mental illness is shared by the demons that are pacing in and out of the administration door, which is their means of psychopathic pacing with noise pursuant to my movement while they're doing so with multiple shadows and engineered light under the fake sun that's over this venue, like I documented at 8:38 a.m. where that Ontario Police, Mike LORENZ, that agency's pattern of conduct is documented at 8:27 in the morning, and I'm outside at that entrance. And I'm capturing that fake sun, which is over the same apartment building over me. Remember, because it's remaining over me in the presence of this demon that's gang stalking, that is operating license 1627719, vehicle 1048, D. Rodriguez, who was gang stalking under the fake sun, which is not at the Ontario Town Square at 9 o'clock in the morning, and neither was it at 8:27 in the morning for it to be over me on Euclid Avenue, which I captured on video, and then moments later the entity is stalking by that's the same pattern of conduct. They're stalking by helicopter. These are the demons that are engaging in psychopathic pacing like they are in vehicles on Euclid Avenue, including the vehicle license 1627719, vehicle 1048. D. Rodriguez, who's going to prison, and his mental illness while he is gang stalking as one engaged in criminal surveillance, masquerading as a police officer, he's going to prison even for threatening me because he is so severely mentally ill. This is a threat to American citizens in the way that LAPD is running over the people of the state on the roads by turning on their sirens and surmising that they will get away with that. That's premeditated murder. The entity is threatening my life. Mike LORENZ is threatening my life, and D. Rodriguez, the people of the state together, pose that threat, while this unstable psychopath is incorrectly citing the law because he wants to be in my presence, monitor me up close, because these demons want my attention. I also want to let you know, while these demons are pacing in and out of the administration door, these are the same demons that are engaging in the pattern of conduct with this agency that is stalking me in planes, in helicopters, and in their police vehicles and fire trucks, and they're going to prison. That includes Alex, who's gang stalking yesterday, Daisy, Sean Thrasher. These demons, the employees have been engaged in the prolonged pattern of conduct, and they're severely mentally ill, and they have failed in what was the purpose of gang stalking in the first place, to falsely depict the character of the one whom they are targeting, and that targeted individual is not supposed to be able to prove that they're being targeted. That and more has been proven, including their mental illness that they share, and it's shared by Mike LORENZ, who is engaging in what is documented acts of retaliation for which he's also going to prison. Be mindful of what it is that I'm stating on my podcast with regard to the delusional dysfunction of Mike LORENZ, and then the puppets of the Ontario police are stalking by helicopter. These are retaliatory acts by demons that are already surrounded by law. Not only is Jason Fields going to prison, but so is Mike LORENZ. These demons are engaged in what is going out of their way to harass me, because Mike LORENZ is being directly addressed in my podcast, and I'm going to repeat it again. You're a vagina-monitoring, feces-eating psychopath. You're a gargoyle. You're not a police officer. You're not a police chief. You're a terrorist, and a proven one, even by science. And the demons that are gang stalking, they're gang stalking because of you, LORENZ, a psychopath. You're a vagina monitoring psychopath, and you're engaging in criminal conduct while I'm documenting these puppets that are harassing while they can't even correctly cite the law that they're acting like they have authority under, and they don't. You're going to prison for this documented and directly relevant acts of targeting me while I'm directly addressing you. That's not missed by the evidence. You're going to prison for that. And this is the asininity of stalking as a whole agency under a fake sun, as the asininity of targeting as an agency, and all those puppets that are stalking me by helicopter, flying over the top of my head, stalking me and harassing me, trying to engage in scare tactics while I'm at the bus bench on the sidewalk. This demon, Mike LORENZ, is going to prison because this is an act of hostility by a delusional psychopath. He's going to be locked up where he can wear his diapers and stick his finger up his anus and eat his feces because he's psychotic. He's psychotic. This white man is engaging in what is gang stalking with the entire population. It's black people, Asian people, Latino people, the immigrants. They're being deported. They're going to prison for criminal summoning. These psychopaths inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, they're doing so with regard to failed witchcraft tactics. Okay, this demon, Mike LORENZ, he's engaged in what is this sex cult, this demon-possessed sex cult, which are all of the demons of the Ontario Police Department. They engaged in what is their failed witchcraft, where they require me to care about what they're doing, and I don't care. I'm gathering evidence, and there's a difference. Mike LORENZ is going to federal prison with the evidence that I am continuously gathering, and it's also relevant evidence that as I directly address this demon by name, that agency is engaged in ongoing targeting, which is the pattern of conduct over a prolonged term of years. Derek Williams and Mike LORENZ are going to prison. This is a pattern of conduct, and it's specifically documented. Those demons are stalking by helicopter for the entirety of my walk to the OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake sun then plants itself over the entrance. And it's the same fake sun where Sean Thrasher and Mickey and John and Myra and these demons that are, you have, what's this demon's name? The heavy set one with the big
gut, which does not cause him to slow down. That demon in him has him pacing a lot, back and forth to the administration door, across the floor space from the circulation desk to the back while he's crossing paths, stalking, psychopathic pacing while they're all monitoring me. That's Alexander. And he's engaged in him and all the rest of the demons. But these are the ones whose name I know. All of the employees are engaged in psychopathic pacing while they're monitoring, and they're maintaining that pattern of conduct on behalf of the terrorist organization, the Ontario Police Department, and they're doing so in furtherance of murder. They are not getting any mercy in court. They're going to prison, and they're going to prison for engaging in what are the serial acts of criminal summoning, which is federal prison each time. And not only that, for kidnapping. They're engaging in, and you're not going to prison for 6 months for that. The entity's engaged in gang stalking in real time in that specific environment, and that impunity with which you're conspiring the murder of another person, you're going to prison for that. And this is the workforce at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is the gang stalking patrons who are monitoring with that agency, with this venue, while they're targeting with that agency that's stalking me day and night, including at the OVITT Family Community Library. And this demon D. Rodriguez, license 1627719, vehicle 1048. And the demon that is about 30 minutes later stalking me by helicopter, flying over the top of my head. These are acts of retaliation while this demon, Mike Lorenz, this terrorist, this sex offender, this vagina monitor, Mike Lorenz is being directly addressed in my podcast. Do not miss that. He's going to federal prison for it. It's currently 11:39 a.m. This is P. All right, it's 12:11 p.m. The OVITT Family Community Library is going to be federally prosecuted for what is harassment as an entity that's built into the criminal pattern of conduct. This is psychopathic pacing, second by second, stalking with amplified noise, and doing so while they're monitoring me. And they're also monitoring while they're keeping evidence under surveillance that's relevant to mental illness assessment and the criminal pattern of conduct. It's 12:12 p.m. These are demons that are pacing in and out of that entrance in engineered light under the fake sun. It's at the I'm inside of study room number 1, and the entity is maintaining impact in the room while they're closing this door. So I just want to, this is the door that I'm, and they maintain key cards, so it's a timestamp every time they're opening and closing the door. But this is the door. This is not going to create impact in the adjacent rooms. These are demons that are engaging in conduct, the audible activity of it, as though they're slamming the doors, which is also, again, in a library. All of it's uncharacteristic of the venue, but these are demons. This is the administration. These are the demon-possessed that are pacing as employees inside of the administration door while they're monitoring me while I'm inside a conference room, study room number 1. The people of the state are pacing all around inside of the library while they maintain this harassing means of audible activity inside of the around me inside of the venue. Also, this is what the entity is doing in the bathroom. Okay, the audible activity in the bathroom sounds like the elevator that you're not going to hear. This is the entity that just maintains noise and engineered light while they are stalking, by definition under law. And they're doing that on behalf of D. Rodriguez, on behalf of Mike Lorenz. This is requiring and calling for what is martial law. And it's also requiring what's federal prison for the entity that is the OVITT Family Community Library, the demons that are gang stalking by place of employment and by patronage. The systematic serial stalkers engage in surveillance on behalf of the state in furtherance of murder. It's 12:13 p.m. Those are demons stalking with noise while I operate my device, uploading images, calling for martial law while the Ontario police are stalking, and the demons are monitoring while they're hostile to that being published onto X. Be mindful of the fact the entity is already proven to be engaged in targeting. They further exhibit mental illness when they stop engaging what is psychopathic pacing in and out of this administration door. At the moment that I start recording, it's also the entity's not making the prosecutor myself. I've already shown I don't make up not one iota of anything. This is what the entity is doing while they are psychopath stalking by going in and out of that door. Very deranged psychopath, feces eaters. Okay, the moment I start recording, they were going in and out of the door that you just heard me close, which is not going to create any impact through these. This is a very secure and well insulated room. The entity is engaged in stalking with noise, second by second. Boom, 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 boom. That's how frequently they're pacing in and out of that door, or at least they're closing and opening that door. And as I'm recording now, it stops. That's the entity's mental illness. That's the evidence of their mental illness. Psychotic demons, beady eyes demons that are engaged in stalking and monitoring the evidence, which is speaking to more evidence proving that you're sick in the head. It's not disproving anything about the pattern of conduct, which everybody already knows. The world has witnessed OVITT Family Community Library being exposed all over the internet. This is the Nephilim gang stalking through the guise of a library. And they're engaging in what is that pattern of conduct, and it's also harassment while they engage in it while they're being documented. They're going to prison and asylums. It's 12:17 p.m., however, and the entity's been maintaining that psychopathic conduct while they're monitoring what I'm doing on my device, where the government has no warrant or probable cause to have these feces eaters keeping me under surveillance on its behalf, and that's what the entity is doing. P.O.C. Demon cross path is an employee. She crosses path at the same time that the door closes. So she's already outside of the door, gang stalking while the demons use that administration door as noise. That's the demonic synchronicity. They're walking in engineer light with multiple shadows monitoring. And they were doing that over and over and over again, about every 10 to 12 seconds. Psychotic. Pacing in and out of the administration door. They're doing so while I'm sharing the images on X. That's what they're monitoring too. Monitoring, remember, is activity creation that's occurring with simultaneity to what you're doing physically, to what you're doing on your devices. Also, with regard to monitoring, as even if you, while you are asleep, for example, I've documented that, and the demons are merely harassing you. They're harassing you while you're awake and moving around and using your devices, but when you're not even physically moving and the entity is engaged in monitoring you during the sleep state, this is what the demon Jason Fields has been engaged in. I documented that very heavily at Woodside Senior Apartments. He's going to be mentally assessed. He's going to federal prison for aiding in psychological torture, psychological warfare with the demon-possessed that are gang stalking, like what they're doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. That door closure occurs as I am putting onto X relevant evidence that is calling for martial law, where this entity is engaged in the gang violence under what is Mike LORENZ, who's going to be federally prosecuted. As I upload those images, the demon that's engaged in nothing other than monitoring walks right back, crossing path to enter into the administration, which is not going to cause any disturbance inside of this study room. That's why they are study rooms, because they're not so easily capable of being disrupted like the demons of the OVITT Family Community Library are engaging while they're monitoring. And they're harassing. 12:22 p.m. The demon possessed, they are cowards. This is the character of Satan, however, and this is relevant evidence with regard to the court, the system, the world, because I'm publishing this investigation on the internet. This is relevant to in federal court prosecuting regarding it's pathetic, but you're always mindful of it in the position of the ordinary target individual that's faced with a bunch of pathetic cowards. Who are engaged in psychotic behavior, group conduct, gang conduct. And they are engaging when they are caught. They scurry off, they run, they shine light and speed off. They engage in all manner of disgusting, pathetic, demented behavior that they don't want to be caught for. It's pathetic. It's very, very pathetic. These are losers. They are life flunkies. They're already dead. This is the Nephilim. And they're not even persuasively acting like normal human beings with blood pumping in their veins. These are dead people. They're zombies. They're hollowed out. They are the demon possessed, and they are also engaging in this while they are watching themselves being exposed, and they engage in the cowardice of not engaging in the same exact conduct you were doing before someone else starts recording. You know, to speak in the vernacular, they're a bunch of punks. They really are. Including the ones that are bearing weapons and stalking a woman in a helicopter. Is that supposed to make you feel strong? Oh, no. It's because you're scared and you're going to drop dead based on the witchcraft that you've been practicing. Because you engaged in sex rituals and voodoo against somebody that's impervious to it. The entity, however, engages in this while they are cowards. They engage in that conduct and they try to avoid being captured. Then they engage in more of it after I document it on video to then try to rebut the fact that they're not punks. When you are a punk engaging in it and you're a punk coming back to engage in more of it, that which you do not want on the internet, that which you do not want to be played in court, proving that you and every other demon's going to prison for it. Nobody's ignorant. The only ignorant ones are the Nephilim, and these are cowards. It is entirely pathetic. And they will be in court with regard to what is making sure that this is underscored. The character of the terrorists, their character, okay, or the lack thereof, however you want to refer to it, but the character, coloring the crime. It's entirely pathetic, and this is how they conspire murder, by engaging in what is and it's a failed act. I've caught them engaging in their act. You know what their act is. I'm breaking down in order to provide what is not only a repository of evidence, but an ability to study it, an ability to diagnose what is mental illness that the entity seeks to keep concealed regarding seeking to present as sane, and it's not sanity at all. But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in, under all circumstances, stalking with noise, engaging what is harassment inside of the conference room. And even while I'm speaking at this volume, you cannot hear in the adjacent conference rooms while you're going in and out. Presumably, you're going to be doing so in not a disruptive manner. It is a library. The entity is engaged in what is psychopathic disruptive conduct while they are pacing an engineered light, which is under all circumstances prosecuting in the first place. For the entity to cease engaging in as much pacing as they were doing before I press record, the entity is already prosecuted. That's why you have engineered light. They're psychopaths walking around, sitting around, pacing around in abnormal demented light, which is a direct indicator regarding all of their demented minds. They're already surrounded by that. While they focus on one part, okay, we're going to stop doing this now because she's recording. And that's literally what's happening. Okay, the entity is engaging in this conduct, and this is all state action for which Mike Lorenz's mental illness is exposed, and his criminal activity. This is why that agency is being disbanded, harassing and stalking me outside, harassing and stalking me vicariously inside, in concert with the gang members of the Ontario International Airport, the fire department, and the demon-possessed population that comes inside of this venue to share an ongoing ceaseless surveillance. This is P.O.C. It's 1227. This is Myra. You have John, who's engaging in the pattern of conduct, gang stalking at work today in furtherance of murder. You have all of the employees, which includes Alexander, who's at the circulation desk, engaging in what is the pattern of conduct on surveillance cameras. The Caucasian female, she's an older woman in her 50s or 60s, with with Alexander at the circulation desk. They're engaging in this while they're pacing in and out of the entrance adjacent to conference room or study room number 1. It is currently 12:28 p.m. This is P.O. All right, the same venue is engaging in the same conduct inside of the what is the private space where that ongoing surveillance is underway. This is psychopaths that are following into the space to stalk in the path while the entity maintains the sound of the elevator, impossible audible activity. And they just want to stand by me while they're doing it. Those are stalkers, monitoring. This is Mike Lorenz. Okay, so this is the entity that's engaging in that. This is relevant to the harassment inside of the study room, following into the restroom to engage in the same conduct. These are the demons stalking with light outside, stalking with light inside too, while they have multiple shadows inside of this private space. This is a threat to your life while psychopaths are engaging in this conduct on behalf of that agency. It's, 1:27 p.m.? This is ongoing surveillance inside of this private space where the fake sun's at the same position that it is on November 10, 2025 at 8:38 in the morning. And I'm capturing it while these demons are pacing into this venue at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was after 10 o'clock, actually. And I'm capturing the fake sun still in alignment to me at this same venue, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the evening. This is indeed that surveillance in the bathroom, and that's mentally ill, very demented behavior, and this is the entity that's engaged in that with all those employees that are named. They are inside of this bathroom stalking together. P.O.C. The entity that was stalking by helicopter is in the bathroom. D. Rodriguez, that was engaging in what is communicating a threat today, harassing and making up information to be in my presence, wanting to be in my presence in the bathroom, stalking. That's what's in the bathroom, P.O.C. Very mentally ill.
multiple shadows are in the bathroom as well. D. Rodriguez that wants to be next to me this morning, that's the same sentiment regarding being in the bathroom, wanting to be next to me, obsessively stalking. It's the same purpose, it's the same mental illness, it's the same obsession, it's the same sick conduct, very sick. Yes, assessing stalking by airplane, that's what's in the bathroom. To do so in the private space is to demonstrate before the federal court that you're mentally unstable and in need of one of mental examinations upon a federal prosecution for conspiring murder. That's what that is. That's what that's relevant to. Activity cases. Jason Fields is going to prison for the population of obsessed gang members. So is Mike LORENZ. So are the terrorist leaders of the airport, the gang stalking airlines. They're going to prison for a population sharing in that pattern of conduct, going into bathrooms to maintain it. They're going to prison for that. And so are the kidnappers of the OVITT Family Community Library. Nothing other than the P.O.C. is happening when you have multiple shadows. That's not caused by the light fixtures that you could buy from Walmart, Lowe's, wherever. It's artificial light, doesn't create multiple shadows. Doesn't create perpendicular shadows, doesn't create magnified size shadows. It doesn't create shadows that vacillate around your person. It's nothing but monitoring. And they are so obsessed, they're obsessing while I am prosecuting them. All right, that's the entity that enters in. Just stalking. The entity is maintaining the sound of the elevator. This retarded means of noise in the engineer light, and that's how you're getting to what is serving monitoring. There's no random noises in engineer light. Okay, it's the elements of monitoring. So the entity wants to be next to me in the bathroom stalking. That's a homosexual predator. Myra, Alexander, John, Yesenia, they're engaged in what is bathroom monitoring while the entity enters in, and that's just the employees whose name I know. They're sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct, which is sexually violent and absurdly demented. The entity is stalking by the airport, by the police, by the population of demons that are stalking with light. And they're coming into bathrooms on behalf of a gang stalking government that is chasing you down into the bathroom. Mike LORENZ is being removed because he's not only sick, he's a criminal co-conspirator of murder. And Jason Fields is going to prison for it. He will never come near me. The entity that's stalking me in the bathroom is a direct indicator regarding how severely mentally deranged he is, how obsessive and how much he is consumed with what he's never going to get. He's not getting my money. He's going to prison for what he already stole. P.O.C. This is bathroom monitoring by the mentally ill. They're monitoring before they enter, they're monitoring after they exit. They come inside to engage in close, conspicuous stalking. They're monitoring everything concerning your genitalia in the bathroom. They are psychopaths that intended to do it without being known, and now they're doing it in front of everybody. You're witnessing the predator that is the OVITT Family Community Library that's exposed all over. Well, it's the world because it's all over the internet. These psychopaths are going to prison. They engage in kidnapping with the Ontario police and they're going to prison.
All right, the entities engage in what is obsessively monitoring while trying to act like they're strangers that aren't concerned. And then they engage in what D. Rodriguez did this morning, making up an excuse to be in my presence. When you don't even have any, I'm on public property, I'm on a bus bench outside. And when I'm in the bathroom, I can talk about whatever I want, I'm not talking to you. And the entities engaging in what is, again, monitoring while they do that. This is a documented pattern, including, don't forget what they did in June of 2022. I molested a child. They're going to prison for that. And they're still monitoring my vagina. They're going to prison for that. And that's why Jason Fields is going to prison. That was serving Tracy Banks and Jason Fields' narrative regarding my character while they've been conspiring my murder, while I've been subject to gang stalking, and they've been stealing my money and living in my property, damaging my property, taking out insurance policies, cashing them in, including the people of the state, the gang stalkers, having policies on me. I don't even know these demons. They're going to prison. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison where that psychopath belongs. My evidence has more than surpassed enough to prosecute in federal court beyond a reasonable doubt that particular demon. Mike Lorenz's criminal system, he's going to prison for it. P.O.C. You got demons stalking me in the bathroom, you better believe, get ready, because you're going to federal prison. Alrighty, the entity is engaging in monitoring, so I want to be clear. Jason Fields is engaged in the sex offense in concert with the entity that's stalking me in the bathroom. This is the reality of a demonic entity that you're dealing with. I have prosecuted Jason Fields, the entity, with tangible evidence, but it needs to be known, and I want the world to know the reality of the demon-possessed, and he is a violent sex offender, and so are all of the demon-possessed, that are engaging in what is monitoring, knowing the status of your genitalia and what's going on with you in a private space, including in your home, while they are ostensibly feigning that while they are walking into the bathroom inside of a public space like this, for example, and we're separated through bathroom stalls. They are engaging in what is monitoring you while doing so, and Jason Fields is a violent sex offender in doing that. He's engaged in what is psychological warfare while the demon-possessed are gang stalking me. These are demons that are spiritually attacking, but their spiritual attacks don't work against me, meaning it's not stopping me from maintaining my investigation. I'm not sitting around in a corner somewhere crying. I'm not perturbed. I'm not even emotionally invested. This is why I'm also telling you, this is what the demon-possessed need in order to affect you with witchcraft. It's not just that simple. It's because I walk with Christ Jesus, and the Lord God has called me to survive this, to speak to the reality of it. So that's ultimately the reason why. But the entity, Jason Fields is a sex offender. He's studied my vagina, and I have not consented to any sexual relationship with him. He's been doing this while he's been having sex with this 60-year-old mother figure, Tracy Banks. He's engaging in what is promiscuity with boys and girls while he's obsessing over my vagina. He's a sex offender, including while the entity is monitoring me in the bathroom. They're still sex offenders while they're monitoring, while they're outside of the bathroom right now. Okay, so when I am, for example, not even in the restroom and I'm sitting outside, if I go near the bathroom, those demons are pacing in and out. They're lying in wait inside of the bathroom so that they can cross paths. All they're doing is monitoring, pacing all around. Okay, it's not traffic outside, it's surveillance. The entity's engaged in what is monitoring my vagina, and so is Fields. He's going to prison for being a sex offender, and the evidence proves that against him. All right. I want to also be clear that this demon is being fully aired out. And you need to know everybody. Jason Fields, you can see his images through the evidence. You can look him up in what is my documentation referring to the people of the state, which is on my website, where you'll see his image, the last information that I had about him. And this is somebody that's a demon. He worships Satan, and he is demon possessed. In other words, he's a part of the Nephilim, and he is one that is engaged in what is using the practice of witchcraft to see me and see my genitalia, see what it is I'm doing in the bathroom, watch me. They also use technology. Jason Fields, Tracy Banks, putting me on camera, putting me on the internet, exposing my genitalia. He's going to prison for that. But this is also someone who is spiritually watching me. So this is a sex offender who's engaged in what is the use of witchcraft, while gang stalking is also witchcraft. The tangible evidence proves that. But this is speaking to the spiritual warfare that Fields is engaged in. He's a psychopath and he's a Satanist. And those of you that don't know any better, stay away from Fields. He is a delusional psychopath. He is a dangerous person because of how unstable he is. He worships Satan. Satan fully possesses his vessel, and he's engaged in what is sexual violence through the use of witchcraft. So this is somebody that is watching you in the nude, and you're not aware of it because he's spiritually attacking you and sexually violating you in the spiritual realm. And that's a very real tactic. This is what's wrong with him. I am prosecuting this demon-possessed person through tangible evidence. And he's going to federal prison under all circumstances regarding the sexual violence, regarding the harassment, regarding the terrorism that he remains engaged in, and that the entity is engaging in concert with him. Alrighty, this is what Tracy Banks, I've fully prosecuted and spoke to Tracy Banks for years. So this is why her sex partner is getting the, spotlight, because I've already prosecuted Tracy Banks. I've spoken for years about what is her mental illness, the years of her engaging in malicious conduct, and I already told about what is her future. She's going to prison, okay? Specifically, she's going into a ward, like a mental ward, where she's going to be mentally examined, and it's the same for her sex partner, okay? This is, 30 years her junior, essentially having sex with her son. And this is him essentially having sex with his mother/grandmother, actually. And this is somebody that's doing so because of his obsession with sex, his obsession with money. And he's also obsessed with me because he's a demon-possessed person who's been engaged in spiritually attacking. So he is spiritually addicted. This is relevant. How you don't prosecute that in the physical? Mental illness. Mental illness. Your criminal activity of stalking me, which is born of obsession, it's actually because he's a demon that's been spiritually attacking me. But you're going to prosecute this person with laws under facts and circumstances proving it with regard to his severe mental illness. It is currently 1:41 p.m. This is bathroom monitoring. This is P.O.C. That's activity creation, meaning monitoring. That's monitoring, and that is stalking. This is stalking by D. Rodriguez inside of the library's bathroom. This is stalking by the city of Ontario, the Ontario International Airport, that's stalking me, doing so by helicopter, by commercial plane, by population of demons with impossible light. You will see in the image that I captured my shadow that's on the floor, my shadow that's upright on the bathroom wall, while this demon is stalking in the path, using even the flushing of the toilet to monitor my use of my devices. The entities engaged in what is bathroom monitoring genitalia before they walk in to engage in that path. This demon walks in while the entity begins sounding the sound of the sink. So let me go ahead, because this is what you're not going to hear inside of the adjacent bathroom. That.
This is the entity that's making all manner of amplified noise. You also cannot hear the elevator. You also do not have perpendicular shadows from artificial light on the ceiling. This is the entity that is monitoring, and you out here guys is engaged in bathroom monitoring. This is gang violence that Michael is being prosecuted for. This is an entity. Okay, this is the P.O.C. These are sex offenders, homosexual predators of all ages engaged in sexual violence with the government. On behalf of that government, and this is again J.C. Fields, Tracy Banks, the people of the state whose name I know, the population of demons who are targeting as a population together entered into the bathroom space to maintain surveillance. It's 1:57 p.m. This is bathroom monitoring by the sex offenders at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is all state action. This is P.O.C. It's psychopathic pacing in and out of the bathroom while I'm capturing the evidence to publish it. Sex offenders. That's the same sound of the elevator, which is impossible audible activity. It's absurdly idiotic. It's as idiotic as the fake son sitting at this OVITT Family Community Library, making it easy to prosecute these sex offenders and these kidnappers. It's ongoing monitoring in the bathroom at 2:02 p.m. P.O.C. This is bathroom monitoring that D. Rodriguez is engaged in Mike LORENZ, the Ontario International Airport, stalking me obsessively, including while remaining inside of the OVITT Family Community Library with the demon-possessed people of the state who are also engaged in stalking together. To do so in a bathroom is to, like I state, demonstrate how demented and deranged you are and how much you are needful of an asylum of prison to be restrained, okay? POC, it's 2:02 p.m. in the bathroom at OVITT where surveillance is underway. Alrighty, you do have vagina monitoring, stalking in the bathroom by Dylan, that is also Securitas, the company that's engaged in the sex offense, and so is Abigail and Yesenia. The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct while the people of the state, the demons that are stalking with light, outside stalking in the absurd ways that they're already proven, those psychopaths go into bathrooms to keep you under surveillance. That's the sex offense committed by the gang leader, Mike LORENZ. It's currently 2:07 p.m. This is POC. That's an entity that enters in. Gang stalking in computer number 9, number 8, number 3, number 4. maintaining surveillance while they're all together sharing in that sex offense while the entity enters into the women's restroom, and maintains surveillance outside of the women's restroom. That's the serial stalker from Upland, California, monitoring and harassing in the city of Upland in that bathroom as well. It's currently 2:07 p.m. This is gang violence that the entity is going to be subject to federal prison for. P.O.C. Alrighty, so I've captured images. It's currently 2:22 p.m., but I've captured images so that you're getting a visual regarding demons that are employees at the venue gang stalking. Doing so while they're maintaining the same exact pattern of conduct indoors, inside of a facilitating venue. These are the employees of the OVITT Family Community Library. The demon with the rainbow, like, tie-dye shirt. This is Yesenia. That's her name. This is this demon's name. She's subject to federal prison. She has engaged in criminal summoning and kidnapping with the entity, criminally defaming me, and doing so to commit kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department that's engaged in surveillance with this venue, and the psychopathic pacing that the entity is harassing me with while you're looking at me capturing an image of crossing path, which is what Yesenia is doing. She's doing it in the engineer light. This is an employee. This is a malicious actor conspiring murder by literally reporting to work and gang stalking. And doing so as I capture the image, because I capture the time, so you're understanding the significance of the time. They're monitoring and repeating the same conduct as I capture the image of the previous demon. They're monitoring the evidence as well. There are also demons that are hostile, and they engage in more of it because they're just mad because they're documenting in the first place. These are psychopaths. And it's because they're demon possessed. But 2:15 p.m., Yesenia is crossing paths. She's monitoring me as she enters the exits the administration door. The administration are demons. Okay, and I capturing a screenshot so you can see at 2:15 p.m. she's monitoring. She's also monitoring while she's walking in into your light crossing path with me. But they enter and exit that door, which is noise, stalking with noise, and they do so pursuant to monitoring me. And now I'm not in the conference room or the study room. Now I'm at computer station number 1, where all these demons are monitoring as well. They were doing the same thing while I was in the study room. And employees, demons like Yesenia, are opening and closing and opening and closing and opening and closing and opening and closing the door. Okay, with regard to what is not going to create impact. Not going to create impact inside of the study room. It's not going to create a booming, disruptive noise inside of that study room. It's not going to create that disruption. Anyway, these are easy closed doors. They're accessing the entities with the key cards, and the entities' audible activities suggesting that they are hauling these doors with all the force that they have, all the might that they have to create what is impact through the walls. And their psychopathic conduct speaks to heightening the frequency with which they do it. And these are demons, again, desperate for my attention. Even in the face of evidence, this is all relevant to what is witchcraft, okay? These are demons, indeed, engaged in gang stalking. Yesenia is captured at 2:15 p.m. As I capture that screenshot, the next demon comes through the nearest door to me, with regard to stalking with the door closure, at 2:16 and 14 seconds. Okay, so at 2:15 and 33 seconds, I'm capturing Yesenia. I put it in the screenshot. This demon at 2:16 and 14 seconds is repeating that while I capture that screenshot. This is serial stalking. They're serial stalkers because they're engaging in the pattern of conduct at OVITT that's been monitoring me for years. And you are engaged in stalking where the pattern of conduct is underway where you work. Where the fake, and that's proven by a fake sun. They're all surrounded. I mean, Mickey, Yesenia, Abigail, these demons are walking on the engineer light. None of that is sunlight. They're going to look absurdly psychotic in court. Okay, but this is the entity that's engaged in that. They're pacing while they have multiple shadows, and these same demons are monitoring my vagina while they're engaged in pacing in and out of the bathroom on the first floor. Okay, the hand dryer, the faucet walking in and out, the toilet flushing, it's all activity creation while they are all together maintaining surveillance of a demonic nature. And it's also surveillance while they're all stalking you, following you, making sure you're surrounded at all times, doing so vicariously on behalf of demons like D. Rodriguez and the Ontario International Airport, the gang stalking airlines like Southwest, who you see in that video gang stalk me with D. Rodriguez, the same agency stalking by helicopter, flying over my head at that same bus stop, where you're engaging what is harassing me while you're keeping me under surveillance at this same bus stop. And you're incorrectly citing the law that you do not, moreover, have authority under while you're engaging in surveillance. And you're going to prison for that malicious iteration.
as though you do. That which the entity is doing today, they are going to federal prison for it. And on top of that, their witchcraft is totally feckless. That witchcraft is still going to boomerang to them. In fact, it already has. Their mental illness is increasing. They are engaged in what is increasingly delusional and irrational conduct, meaning they're no longer engaged in any sort of conduct that's making somebody else appear like they're imagining it or making it up. The Ontario police are not hiding the fact that they're stalking at all. Neither are the people of the state. Okay, and the entities engaged in this inside of the venue. This is relevant to the mental illness of Jason Fields, who is a demon that's equally delusional and is under the impression, based on the way that he's engaged in psychological warfare, this is a demon resorting to witchcraft, and the federal judge, the federal courts, it is their responsibility, which they are not only derelict in, but they are criminally engaging in, what is enabling a mentally unstable terrorist like Jason Fields to abuse any position and terrorize an American citizen in furtherance of murder. He's going to prison. He's a terrorist. He's not just a stalker. He's not just a nymphomaniac. He's not just a delusional psychopath. He's one that's engaged in targeting me while abusing a position with the government. You are a domestic terrorist. This is gang violence. He's going to prison for that. And this is somebody that's engaging in it while engaging what is delusional behavior, and I've gone into that. It's entirely pathetic, but his spiritual attack includes nothing other than disgust, while speaking to the fact that he's engaged in unprotected sex with the 60-year-old woman, Tracy Banks. He's been engaged in prolonged sexual relationship with Tracy Banks, who is feigning to be a loving mother to me, but not acting very well. You're looking at, as I ripped off that mask that this demon has been wearing, it's the same mask of Jason Isaac Fields. He is a pervert. Okay, he's a stalker and he's a delusional psychopath, and there is no iteration of facts that are going to change that he is under no circumstances permitted in my presence. Having engaged in sexual activity with any gang stalker targeting me, you will never have anything to do with any aspect of my life, and all the money and property that he's already stole. He's going to prison in the first place. This is somebody that's delusional, as though in prison he's going to levitate out of that cell and we're going to be together, and he's going to force that because it's going to be against my will. He's going to kidnap me and force me to be with him. He's going to engage in what is sexual violence to force me to be with. This is what is the threat posed by a psychopath that is criminally monitoring you. And this is what is shared by the demon-possessed that are engaged in what is, understand the entity that's delusional with regard to having any sort of control over me. They don't have any control over what it is that I'm doing, which is prosecuting them. They lost control of that a long time ago. And they also lost what is the ability to look like anything other than what they are, which is terrorists. And Jason Fields is going to prison for it. He is a puppet engaged in psychopathic pacing, criminal monitoring, psychological torture with the demons that are gang stalking, including inside of this venue. He's going to prison for every act of terrorism pursuant to the ceaseless system of terrorism, in other words, including while I'm being stalked in the bathroom, while I'm being stalked on the roads and the highways, while I'm being gang stalked at a bus stop, at the grocery store, and the gas station, while I'm walking down the street. Fields is going to prison for all of that. There will never be any future. It will only be the fact that he is a defendant in a federal case. This is somebody who is, I want to be clear how mentally ill the demon-possessed are that practice witchcraft. Essentially, breaking down logically what they do is they merely recite over and over again that which is delusional, that which is not going to happen. And they call that manifesting. You're nothing other than a delusional psychopath who's making up things in your mind that are never going to happen in real life. That's what the mentally ill call manifesting, and it's actually the exercise of what is failed witchcraft that does not work against me, and it's ongoing evidence regarding why you belong in a straitjacket. This is why he belongs in a padded room, and he's engaging in this conduct where it is never going to happen. I would never disrespect myself. I would never curse my bloodline by having anything to do with somebody that had any sort of sexual relationship with Tracy Banks and every other demon whose name I know. Jason Fields had sex with them. It's never going to happen. Jason Fields has been engaged in what is an embarrassing lifestyle. He is an embarrassment with regard to his identity. I will never have anything to do with him in reality. To repeat over and over again while you're spiritually attacking and disgusting, engaging what is disgusting me, engaging in being disgusting, you are the quintessence of what is disgusting. In other words, you're being delusional as your form of what is as a demon, you're not manifesting anything. You've already manifested death. You've already manifested prison. You've already manifested poverty. This is an entity that's engaged in that, and this is how illogical what they practice is. Witchcraft only works if you believe in that. Witchcraft only works with regard to what is a measure of your participation if you're in sin. All right, if you are not walking with Christ Jesus, if you're also entirely falling for what is absurd, nobody's falling for that. Even outside of the spiritual realm, I will never have anything to do with anybody that had sex with Shanita. You had sex with any guys. Like, you had sex with Glenn Anthony Williams. You had sex with my dad. You had sex with Eric Spencer. You had sex with Tracy, whoever, and all that Fields had sex with, including the demon-possessed gang stalking court officials, where they're engaging in what is lying on my character, presenting evidence and libelous documentation in order to kidnap and steal from me. It's never going to happen in real life. This is a delusional person who's engaging in this conduct with regard to failed witchcraft, and it's nothing other than the evidence of mental illness, and it is essentially with regard to what these demons practice, feckless witchcraft. In the same way, stalking me day and night in helicopters is not effective witchcraft. It's the body of evidence proving that you've been targeting me for years, and you're going to prison for that. Also evidence that your witchcraft is not working. These are demons that engage in what is highly illogical, highly unintelligent, and highly nonsensical. And this is breaking down what is, again, Satan, who is a loser. He is only like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Only in your ignorance is that effective. Even if I weren't aware of witchcraft, there is no way that this demon that's engaged in years of sexual activity with this 60-year-old plus woman, 60-plus-year-old woman, is ever going to be permitted in my presence. He's delusional. And this is what the world needs to know. Jason Fields has been lying on my character, obsessed with me, while he's been engaged in what is all manner of disgusting sexual activity with Tracy Banks, which he's embarrassed about, and he should be. He's going to prison with that embarrassment. And he's going to prison for stealing from me. And this is a demon that's engaged in this conduct while he's engaged in gang violence, for which he's also going to federal prison. In fact, the demons that are gang stalking me in concert with him on behalf of this entity, which he is a part of, he's going to prison for it. Okay? He's not getting a dime of my money. He's not staying in any property that belongs to me. And any damage that I've suffered, damages, he's going to prison for it. All routes lead to prison for Fields, who was a domestic enemy, by the way, in this country. This is somebody that's engaged in what is spiritually attacking, even through what is the Desperate Act, which is unintelligent, and it's ineffective. All you're doing is showing how much of a disgusting creature you are. You are not garnering any spiritual authority over me. You don't have any. This is a demon. This is, again, I just want to be clear, this is what is very disturbing about the mentally ill. You need to know about the Nephilim. You need to know about the wiles of the devil. It is nothing to fear. It is absurdly idiotic. It's laughable. And this is the embarrassing shame of what is the demise of Jason Fields, who thought that his nymphomania was going to cause him to be living in riches for the rest of my life. And he thought that he was going to do that over my grave. And he's going to prison. It's currently 2:34 p.m. and this is P.O.C. That's the sound that the demons sound inside of the bathroom, which is, I'm getting off the elevator right now, impossible audible activity. Okay? When I'm sitting at the computer over here, you cannot hear the elevator. You can hear the elevator car as it's going up and down, and you cannot hear it across the room from the bathroom, inside of the bathroom. It's a means of unintelligent means of activity creation, but the demon possessed are not engaging in that which is intelligent. They're engaging in that which is demonic. Okay, they're engaging in that which is supernatural. And the supernatural is very highly unintelligent when you are using logic and breaking down what is happening and how would that happen. Okay, this is how you're able to prosecute the demon-possessed that are gang stalking. It's relevant to bathroom monitoring, and the same sex offender from the city of Upland is maintaining surveillance outside of the bathroom. This is P.O.C. It is 5:42 p.m. Alrighty, the people of the state are still engaged in what is behaving as the feces eaters that they are, the unstable enemies of this country, who are going to be prosecuted as the terrorists that they are,
by definition, literally under the language of the Constitution. And the document, which is also kind of important, the Declaration of Independence, these founding principles, the people of the state are defined as enemies of this country, and that's exactly how they are unprepared to be treated. They are engaging in their role, stalking with the government, that is stalking by plane, following me to this venue of the 537 on Euclid Avenue, where this entity, via D. Rodriguez, committing a battery as an entity, harassment as an entity, a threat, a verbalized threat to engage in kidnapping as an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, followed by the entity stalking by helicopter in the same manner that it has been doing for years, and as I've been documenting, including at this bus stop, a plethora of times over and 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 over again. And so this demon this morning engages in that documented act of terrorism, and he's going to prison. That same pattern of conduct is underway, which D. Rodriguez admittedly engaged in by being on my camera, touching me, saying anything to me while bearing weapons and wearing that uniform, engaging in that pattern of conduct in that manner, and also just harassing me while I'm on the sidewalk at this bus bench. This demon is engaged in that pattern of conduct with the same demons of the Ontario International Airport who are on video stalking me with him, threatening me with him, committing a battery with him, and so are the people of the state. That's an entity. The entity is stalking by plane, following me from the OVITT Family Community Library to what is the 537 North Euclid Avenue, where I documented criminal summoning this morning, doing so at 9:29 p.m. and doing so again at 9:39 p.m. This is P.O.C. It's 9:43 p.m. Alrighty, ongoing stalking, which is all evidence that is further corroborating, which is not neat, but it's already proven, but this is how I'm showing you the pattern of conduct is established. The entity's engaging in an ongoing behavioral pattern, which is obvious targeting by the airport that would maintain and will maintain and the criminal case proving that an airport is stalking will establish in a courtroom that there are no flights that are hovering over the bus stop where I'm at over here, or over Woodside Senior Apartments, or over Economy Inn, or over the sidewalk while I'm at the mobile at the 60 freeway, or over me on the sidewalk while I'm walking down South Euclid Avenue, or over the Chevron, or the ARCO, or the library, or the town square, nor are there any flights landing at the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, hovering over that apartment building. None of this. It's all pursuant to stalking. This is the entity that's engaging in that pursuant to what is obsession with me. Okay, these are demons, and so this is relevant to the reality of the mental illness of D. Rodriguez, who committed a battery as an entity, and that battery is committed by Ronald Leveridge and Julia Gu, Alan D. Wapner, Jim Bohm, and Kurt Hagman, Otif Al-Qadi, and every other demon on that executive team. The Ontario International Airport is not an airport, and it is being shut down. They're going to also be prosecuted as the enemy of this country that it is, engaging in terrorism, which is what I prove. And also establishing how it's a threat to American citizens. It's literally engaged in criminal conduct with the terrorist organization on video, where, again, that ongoing criminal pattern of conduct with the people, with the city of Ontario, as I'm prosecuting and disbanding that Ontario police, is shown literally in that video. This is the same criminal pattern of conduct, and the demons are doing so with regard to desperation, obsession with me, and it's not mutual. This is evidence in order to prosecute and put the demons that are stalking in planes in prison. And that's where they're going. The entity's going to produce their IDs as well. They're going to prison. And not only that, this is serving to prosecute Mike Lorenz, and it's also serving to prosecute the demon that committed battery as an entity today, and that's D. Rodriguez. Okay? I want to be clear. The entity engaging battery altogether, the demon sat inside of OVITT Family Community Library. The entity sat inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. They all committed a battery today. They all engage in what is threatening to kidnap me today, while they are speaking as one, sharing a criminal pattern of conduct of stalking in the specific environment. So I just want to document that. The entity is maintaining ongoing flight, amplifying plane activity. This is relevant to mental illness. The mental illness, which is manifesting in the form of loud plane activity while they're being documented because they're obsessed with me, obsessed with getting negative attention, which is serving to prosecute. But these are demons that are spirits that are using and that makes us psychopathic people. So this is how you get commercial planes used as a means of stalking. The entity is engaged in this again at what is, I'm going to go ahead and document, at what is 9:54 p.m. and again at 9:58 p.m. And they're doing so with the people of the state. The people of the state are going to federal prison, as I've documented them engaging in criminal summoning. This is what Tracy Banks engaged in on May 29, 2025. This is what she engaged in on May 4, 2019. This is what she engaged in on August 6, 2019. She's going to federal prison, and so is her sex partner, Jason Fields, for everything, including what I documented today on another day. He is going to prison. And there is no position that he holds, oh, he gave the feds this information, and he's changed his mind, and he accidentally fell into it. He's going to prison. There is no excuse to engage in terrorism. Those excuses do not bring people back to life when they're murdered. Okay? By simpletons, by demons, by terrorists, sex offenders, who are not apologetic when you're dead and they have your money. Fields is going to prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 10:03 p.m. I'm at the 537 North Euclid Avenue. The demons are stalking with light. The demons are stalking in planes. And D. Rodriguez is going to federal prison. This is another demon that runs fast and furious into that federal prison sentence. And that's because these demons are obsessed with me. They're also very fearful. Again, they're also mentally ill because out of fear, you engage in more criminal activity like the demons stalking with impossible light. Okay? These demons sit inside of the library having committed battery today and threatening to commit kidnapping as an entity. And they're sitting around flashing, sparking light. They're psychopaths. These are literally people that eat their own poop, their own feces. That's how sick they are. Who sits around sparking light? And how is that slowing me down from uploading all my videos? Because you see all of that impeccable analysis. How is it slowing you down? How is it stopping me from publishing my videos online? Like, when am I losing my ability to spell correctly, my ability to analyze, my ability to identify the pattern for you? How is it sitting around sparking with your back to me and then covering up your face when you know you're being documented? How is that helping you? How is that stopping me? These are demons that are not logical. They're feces eaters. And so are the ones that are stalking in planes. I want to be clear. It's not just the terrorist leader. He is going to prison. And so is Derek Williams, Mike Lorenz. So is every kidnapper. And those engaged in what D. Rodriguez engaged in today. They're going to prison. So are the demons of the Ontario board. As you see them stalking and communicating that threat, that you're monitoring and stalking further into murder. You are doing so as a corrupt board that's making money, facilitating it, enabling it, aware of it. You're engaged in surveillance. You know that I'm documenting the airport, and I document Alan D. Wapner. Those demons engage in more stalking and harassment using commercial planes. That's relevant for federal prison. The impunity with which these terrorism act, it's going to be directly relevant to when they are sentenced in court. They're delusional with regard to never being in court. They're delusional with regard to never being charged, with regard to never having to face the penalties. They're delusional. Okay? As delusional as demons that sit around sparking light inside of a library stalking all day long. That's their form of stalking with light, and that's the mentally ill. What they're doing now outside is stalk with light, which I've shown you in hundreds of videos. While they're stalking in the path, while you hear them, they're doing so with impossible light. D. Rodriguez is going to prison. This is the pattern of conduct he was engaging in this morning. And that's further confirmed by the entity stalking me by helicopter, further confirmed by the entity stalking by planes, further confirmed by the entity that is stalking with light right now. Okay? P.O.C. It is currently 10:06 p.m. I just want to document that. This is all relevant to the terrorist who is Fields, and him and his sex partner. He enjoyed having all manner of unprotected, raw, anal, oral sex, group sex with Tracy Banks, enjoyed summoning demonic spirits, enjoyed praying to Satan while doing so, and he's going to federal prison for it. Okay, and his sex life with Tracy Banks is relevant to an improper conflict with regard to his clean hands while he was targeting me, and his motive behind targeting me with regard to what is Tracy Banks' obsession with me, and also her obsession with being me, and also murdering me in order to, I guess she thought she was just going to step into my skin and then become 20 years younger. She's psychopathic and delusional, and so is her sex partner, Jason Fields. Okay, they're both going to prison. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:07 p.m.